So you're thinking about starting therapy, but you don't know where to start. I got you. Hello, my name is Shan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm not your official therapist, but you can call me your YouTube therapist. This is the therapy that you didn't know you needed. Quick disclaimer, like always, I am a licensed mental health therapist, but I am not your therapist. My YouTube channel is for information and educational purposes only. It's not intended to replace mental health care. If you are in need of mental health care, please contact your local mental health agency. We don't talk enough about how scary it can be taking the initial step to finding a therapist. Finding a therapist can be intimidating. Sometimes we don't even know where to start. But I'm going to walk you through finding a therapist all the way up into what to expect in your initial intake session. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to not know where to even begin, but let's walk through step by step. So first, we're going to explore some websites on where you can find a therapist. This is your initial step. When you start to think, maybe I need to explore therapy, these are the websites that I want you to jump on to explore some therapists in your area. The first website is the most popular website that a lot of people are familiar with. It's called Psychology Today. Here on Psychology Today, you can see it looks very generic to me, but that's okay. We're able to find different therapists in your area by searching the city or state. Not only are you able to find different therapists, but you're also able to find psychiatrists, treatment centers, and support groups. So if you're in need of medication support, or if you're in need of a treatment center near you, this is a really good resource. I am located in Columbus, Ohio. Let's start with Columbus. And you can filter these, right? So you can say, I want a female, I want a male. Either you want in person or online, your preference. But if you go over here to all filters, you can specifically search for the specialties that you're looking for and also your insurance. Here, the specialties, if you are seeking therapy for anger management, anxiety, depression, self-esteem, and then you can go to show more specialties to be able to search for the specific area you're looking for therapy. Also insurance. This is an important step. If you have insurance that you are specifically seeking to use in therapy, go ahead and filter out your insurance. You don't want to miss that step. So you can do type of therapies. If you're familiar with specific treatment modalities, right now a popular one is EMDR. I know a lot of people search for EMDR, but if you know the treatment you're looking for, go ahead and fill out that. But if you don't, that's okay. Age, if you're a teen, child, adult, some therapists may only see adults, or they may see a mixture of both. You can also narrow it down to ethnicity. So if you were looking for a Black or African American therapist, Hispanic, Latino, you can narrow it down there. Sexuality, if you are someone that's a part of the LGBTQ plus community and you are specifically looking for a therapist that specializes working with the LGBTQ plus community. Language. If you do not speak English and you're looking for a therapist that speaks Spanish or a different language, that's another filter. If you are paying out of pocket, you can search based off of the therapist prices. So there's so many filters. Make sure you use this filter tab if you want to get specific on the therapist you are looking for. Some key things I want you to look out for as you're searching for a therapist on these sites. So let's just click on her. It has their full bio, so you're able to read their bio. Read the bio in depth and see, this person seems like they can relate to my values, or maybe this person does not focus on what I'm looking for therapy. You can see their address if you are looking for in person, their pricing, and how I mentioned all those filters will be down in this information. Once you do that, you can email them or you can call. Pick about 5 therapists or so. Kind of go through the bios, narrow your list down, because not everyone may be accepting new clients, or it may be a wait list for some therapists. And unfortunately, some therapist communication can be poor. So that's a red flag that you want to look out for. If you are trying to reach out and communicate to start, therapy with a therapist and for some reason they are not getting back to you, that is probably a sign that we should move on to the next therapist. This one specifically says waitlist, but not everyone updates their profile. So pick a couple and kind of sort through and move on from there. So another website that I really like, this website specifically narrows down to race, therapy for Black girls. There are a bunch of websites out there that may narrow down to either gender, race, sexual identity, and the list goes on. If you are looking for something very specific, I would do a Google search and some research on this, but there are a lot of websites out there like this that may be specific to the area you are looking for. So therapy for Black girls is not just for girls, right? Guys can hop on here as well, but it's intended for African Americans. On here, it will be the same thing. So if you are looking for a therapist, you'll go to find a therapist and you can either look for in office or virtual. So you can make it specific. State, I'm just going to do virtual, but in office, you can put in your address. Virtual therapist, okay, yes. And then we're going to search. Now, therapy for Black girls, it does not have a lot of features like Psychology Today. Psychology Today is one of the bigger platforms, but you can put in your insurance. So if you are using insurance, you can put in your insurance. I just said Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you are paying out of pocket, you can leave that area blank. Specialty, you can search for specifically what you're looking for. ADHD, anger management, virtual therapy, yes. Group therapy, if that's something you're looking for, accepting new clients. Prescribed medication. So on here, you can also look for a psychiatrist if you're looking for medications. And then this is a filter I really like, offers pro bono sessions. These are free sessions that therapists may put out their services and offer to clients. So let's click on one. Some of these people are licensed in multiple states, but I would pay attention to their license because sometimes this website can be a little tricky. You can put Ohio and then it would pop up all these other states, but it looks like she's licensed in a bunch of states. So this one is good. On Therapy for Black Girls, you can go directly to the website for the therapist. Psychology Today doesn't normally let you go directly to the website. Sometimes people will have it in their bio and you can copy and paste it. But for Therapy for Black Girls, it has it hyperlinked. So you can just go to it and fill out their website and see if they have a tab that allows you to book an appointment or request an appointment, or see if they have a phone number as well. And then just some other sites really quickly. I really want to highlight low cost, affordable therapy sites. If you are someone who does have to pay out of pocket and you need low cost therapy, Open Path Collective is a really good website. Therapists list their services on here between $30 and $70 per session. When you're looking for a therapist, you can see the prices that they are listing their sessions as, but they cannot go over that $70 mark. So this is a really, really good website if you're looking for low cost, affordable therapists. Then we have inclusive therapists. Again, when we think about if you're looking for a therapist that relates to you on a specific level, such as gender, race, sexual identity, etc. Mental Health Match is another website that's just like the Psychology Today or the Therapy for Black Girls that you can look on and find a therapist in your area. So these are some of the websites that I recommend starting with to find a therapist in your area. Next, let's talk about insurance. Starting with insurance is also a good step as well, because if you start off with your insurance companies, most insurance companies have a website, right, where you can go on and specifically filter psychotherapists or therapists in your area, even psychiatrists. It will pop up therapists that are in network with your insurance. So it takes out a lot of the guessing. Insurance is a big piece when it comes to finding a therapist. If you are using insurance, if you are self-pay or out of pocket, I recommend going on the websites for the agencies are calling and asking them specifically, how much is the first session and how much are the sessions afterwards? The first session is always different from the sessions that follow. And that's because that first session is your initial intake appointment, and I'll get to that later in the video. And the sessions to follow are normally a little cheaper than that first session. My recommendation, because it is your responsibility, to reach out to your insurance and double check your co-pays, your co-insurance, and your deductibles. You do not want to start a therapy session or start therapy and you have a deductible that you have no idea about. Make sure you check those co-pays, co-insurance, and deductibles. Sometimes the agency that you're working with to start therapy will help you out with that too, but it's your responsibility ultimately to call your insurance and double check. So tips for choosing a therapist. I kind of went over it when I was on the website, but make sure you read bios, you check licensure, you look for specialties. If you're looking for something specific, don't go off and find a therapist that's not within that niche. Most therapists are trained within a certain area and sometimes multiple areas. So make sure you're looking out for those things as you're reading the bios on these different sites. A caveat about finding a therapist with your insurance is normally you don't see bios. You just see the name of the person, the phone number, and the address. So sometimes it may be useful to use these other sites and then doubling back to your insurance to see if you can find them on your insurance site. Some red flags, which I kind of also mentioned as I was going through the website. So vague bios. If they got about 2 sentences in their bio, it's like, you didn't put much work into doing this, right? Those vague bios, the poor communication, not getting back to you, maybe that's a red flag that they are over capacity and they can't communicate as well to potentially new clients. Another red flag is mismatched values. Make sure your values align with their values. If you are looking for something specific, such as religion-based counseling, those filters are on there for you to filter out if someone practices based off of their religion. So I know I mentioned that low-cost site, Open Path Collective, if you're someone paying out of pocket. I also mentioned going through your insurance company, but another key gem is asking your insurance if you have EAP, a part of your insurance plan, Employee Assistance Program. Most insurance will give you free sessions, anywhere from 6 to 10 sessions with a therapist, no cost to you. So if you're someone who has a high deductible or maybe you have a high co-insurance, make sure you ask about an EAP. A lot of therapists accept EAP and they'll see you for those initial sessions essentially covered by your insurance. So now let's go into what to expect during your first therapy appointment. You got the research out the way, you found a therapist, you booked an appointment, your first session is coming up, if that's either virtual or in person, and you're like, man, I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect during this first session. Let's walk through what that would look like. During the first session, that's called your intake appointment or your intake assessment. During that session, I like to tell my clients, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm trying to get to know you, get to know your history, and what brings you to therapy. I also let them know this is your opportunity to ask me questions as well. During that first session, you'll kind of get a vibe check, right? I can vibe with this person. If you have a question mark, I always recommend for you to at least give it about 3 sessions before you completely write off therapy or the therapist. But let me tell you, that first person you meet with may not be your match. I want you to keep going. I want you to keep searching for a therapist. The first time I went to therapy, the first person I went with was not my match. Now I know what to look for. Now I know different key things to sort out. But when you find the one, you will know. That initial intake appointment, so it's going to ask questions such as trauma history, things maybe related to depression, anxiety, or the symptoms you may be currently experiencing. They're going to ask some general questions as well. So be prepared to answer a bunch of questions, but that's just during the initial intake appointment so the therapist can create a treatment plan and kind of tell you how things will go. But that first session is the rapport building, you guys getting to know each other. That next session is when you jump into the work. work. You start working on the things that you mentioned, the goals that you mentioned within your treatment plan. That first appointment is going to be a little longer. That's why it costs a little more, because it's a bunch of information gathering. The next appointments after that will either be 60 minutes, 45 minutes, or even 30-minute session, depending on what you and your therapist discuss and what may be best for you during that time. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay not to know where to start, but we just walk through the very beginning when it comes to finding a therapist all the way up into that initial session. I really hope that you continue the research and you continue the journey on seeking a therapist. But if you're not ready for therapy yet, or if you're someone who is ready for therapy, I offer self-help resources that you can work on outside the therapy room, or that can prep you for the time leading up to therapy and when you're ready. These self-help resources are digital resources that covers topics around depression, anxiety, trauma, boundaries, even self-love. These can be completed in the comfort of your own home. Other therapists can also incorporate these inside of their therapy sessions. If you're interested in exploring these self-help resources, go ahead and click the link in the bio and explore which one may be right for you. Let me know in the comments, are you thinking about starting therapy, or have you already scheduled that first appointment? Subscribe for more real therapy talk, because healing doesn't have to be so intimidating. I hope you come back next week for our next topic. This is the therapy you didn't know you needed.